Welcome back to another episode. I have decided to install LED lights for the indicators left and right. This will potentially stop me from leaving an indicator on. With latching buttons it will be easy to do so. Now I know I don't need to do any more modifications to this plate, I can paint it. Now I have the rest of the hose to finish off the fuel system. Before I connect the pipe back onto the regulator, I'm going to insulate this in some silver tape as it runs near the engine. I will also do the same to the fuel line that runs across the top of the engine, the fuel supply, until it goes back through the bulkhead. Once I have the joiner for the tank breather, I can trim this pipe down and connect it. That will be the fuel system in place. All I need to do is organise spaghetti junction here, and I think I'm going to need to modify the cover for this top hose. Amazingly, it just about fits without kinking the top hose at all. I've just taken the pump assembly back out the car. I wanted to do this union up tight. I needed to do the fitting for the inlet to the pump with some PTFE tape. It also has a sealing washer. I will now blow some air through the swirl pot to make sure there's no swarf inside the tank. That should be all of the trunking on the fuel lines. I now have the 6 to 8mm adapter to finish off the fuel system. Next, I'm going to get the tank protectors back in place. As more and more parts are getting installed on the car, I'm starting to think about the layout for the wiring system. As you can see, the engine bay is getting pretty busy now. I want to keep as much space as I can around the engine bay so it's easy to work on. Therefore, I'm going to utilise this space in the back of the car to have the relay set up. It makes sense to keep as much weight in the back of the car Also, it is very close to the battery and the control panel. To start with, what I need for the wiring system are some relays and some fuse holders. I need relays for the following: the external water pump, the radiator fan, the fuel pump, the heater blower switch, the horn, the indicators and the headlight flash for the steering wheel, the starter button, the windscreen wiper motor, the hazard warning light switch. I will install 2 additional relays if I want to add anything at a later date, something like some spotlights. I think 12 relays will cover everything, and 2 8-way fuse holders should cover the fuses. I also need 2 flash units for the hazard lights and the indicators. I will replace all of the light bulbs in the car for LED versions, so I need to get LED flashers. I'm just getting a couple more layers of unseal on this area. This means I can start to reassemble the rear subframe and the diff. With more parts ready to go on the back of the car, it means I can start reducing this pile here. We can start with the rear diff carrier. Before, after. I managed to get a couple more suspension components painted last night. Before I get the rear subframe mounted back on the car, I need to refit the overflow pipe to the tank, as it sits directly under the subframe. Now I have the rear diff bolted in place. I'm going to leave the lower arms and trailing arms until I have done all the underseal on the underside. I still want to put some more underseal under the wheel arches, so to avoid these getting covered in drips of paint, I will leave them off for now. I'm just going through a few more parts to put back on the car. I want to put some etch primer on this fuel filler as it still runs externally in the original place. I will also coat it in some underseal. I have just filled this tube up with water just to check if there are any holes. It's still dry, so it should be alright. I have put a couple of layers of etch primer on this filler neck. I've left it for a couple of days to dry out properly. Once the inner arches are painted with some black under seal, I can get this filler neck installed on the car. As always, thank you for tuning in to another episode of this build series. Smash that subscribe button. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions about the build, leave them in the comment section below, and I will see you very soon.